Yeah, I know, the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Why? Why is it so big and why is it ostentatious? More importantly, why is it coming out now? Shouldn't Jeep be focusing on electric vehicles? Well, before Stellantis can do that, it needs to be profitable. And what executives at Stellantis actually are looking for are big, juicy profit margins. The kind of profit margins that Cadillac, Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Lincoln make from the sales of big SUVs. Up until now, Stellantis didn't have a way to threaten the crosstown competition's stronghold on the jumbo SUV segment. It's been 10 years that Jeep has been talking about a Grand Wagoneer. In the beginning, it was a 7-row Jeep Grand Cherokee, but then it shifted to this, a body-on-frame architecture based on the Ram 1500. And why the Grand Wagoneer name? Well, you already know the answer to that question. The Grand Wagoneer is arguably the most legendary Jeep vehicle of all time. It is the ancestor of the sport utility vehicle. Its roots go all the way back to the early 1960s, and the vehicle was sold all the way to the early 1990s. It was basically a station wagon on a pickup truck frame. Today, pretty much every car maker sells an SUV, and it's partly thanks to the Grand Wagoneer's existence. So here it is, an all-new Grand Wagoneer. It's properly massive, luxurious, and super expensive. Let's go for a ride and explore all the features together. That's how large the Jeep Grand Wagoneer is. I'm 6 foot tall and the hood arrives right here to my chest. It's very similar actually to the Cadillac Escalade I drove about a year ago. You can go see that video on the channel, and that's precisely the type of vehicle that Jeep wants to go against. The Grand Wagoneer is a direct rival, says Jeep, to the Cadillac Escalade and the Lincoln Navigator. Now, I'm not exactly sure I like the way this vehicle looks. It looks rather goofy. It appears like some sort of hotel on wheels. Jeep tried to do something back there with the windows to make it appear like the old Grand Wagoneer. And no, this here doesn't come with the vehicle. It's minus 30 degrees Celsius right now. I'm about to lose my hands. So come with me, we'll go inside and we're going to explore all the technology and the luxury that the Grand Wagoneer has to offer. It's obvious that the Grand Wagoneer was created to generate massive profits for Stellantis. Now, obviously, Jeep will not say this, but every single aspect of this vehicle screams, let's sell a big-ass SUV and generate massive profits. For instance, the entry price is $100,000. There's no apology coming from the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer. This model, the fully spec'd Series 3, is just over $140,000. 140 grand for a Jeep. Now, the way Jeep markets the vehicle to go against, let's say, a Chevy Tahoe, a GMC, a Yukon, and a Cadillac Escalade, is you have the Wagoneer, which is the standard one, which is the non-luxury one, and the Grand Wagoneer, this one, which is the luxury version with big plush leather seats, wood finishing all over the place. I mean, it's really a marvel of luxury. The only thing missing is wood on the outside, and it's a shame that Jeep didn't try to do one. We understand why they didn't, for manufacturing reasons and probably for safety reasons. I don't think I want to crash into a car that has wood on the side. It would be a shame for that poor tree. Anyway, contrary to the competition though, the Grand Wagoneer only comes with one wheelbase option. They're all the same size, they're properly massive, and yes, they're body on frame. The reason for this is so they can compete and so they can offer a good towing capacity. Now the frame is sourced from a Ram 1500, but it has an independent rear suspension. That's also what the competition offers as well. And there's only one engine offered under the hood, a 6.4 liter Hemi V8. And it's one heck of an engine. I mean, this thing pumps out 471 horsepower. It's made it to an 8-speed automatic gearbox, and when you gun it, even if it's massive, it's quick. I mean, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour is rated in 5.5 seconds for a gargantuan vehicle like this one. So that's quite fascinating, but it's not necessarily efficient, and forget about fuel economy. Again, no apology from the Grand Wagoneer. You'll be lucky to get under 15 liters per 100 kilometers. Now remember, Cadillac offers a turbo diesel option. Lincoln also offers an EcoBoost V6 power plant. None of these are offered here in the Grand Wagoneer, but Jeep did say that it will eventually integrate a plug-in hybrid drivetrain to this vehicle. That's perhaps the only apology that has come out from this vehicle so far. Being body on frame obviously means that it's a bit rough on a beaten road, but it's not so bad. I mean, it does have an air suspension, an adjustable air suspension, which allows to adapt its ride height accordingly. It's properly smooth and very velvety. The fact that it has a V8 engine allows it to provide power in a very smooth and constant way. Now, for all-wheel drive system, I mean, the Grand Wagoneer has the best all-wheel drive system that Jeep offers across the range. It's the Quadra Drive 2 system with a 2-speed transfer case and a limited slip differential out the rear. So this allows this massive vehicle to at least be good in the trails, but I won't bring it in the trails because it's 140 grand. I don't want to scratch the paint on a $140,000 vehicle. And there lies the irony with the Grand Wagoneer. Jeep says that they're selling a massively luxurious product. It's a living room on wheels, but it also says that you can bring it out in the trails, in the mud, like a proper Jeep. Who's gonna do that? Seriously, who's gonna bring their Grand Wagoneer in the trails with the children in the back and just go mudslinging with this thing? I mean, unless you have a lot of money to waste, why would you do that? So far, you must be thinking, okay, so what? This is just a big SUV with a gigantic V8 engine under the hood. It's kind of pointless, and obviously Jeep has created it to make a lot of money. And you'd be right. What you need to know, though, what you can't see in the video right now is how many features, how much technology, and at what point this vehicle envelops you in utmost comfort. So what I'm going to do is pull over, and I'm going to go through all the technology and all the features that you'll get in a Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I tell you, when it's minus 30 degrees outside, it's quite enjoyable to be in the extremely warm cabin of a Grand Wagoneer. Everything about this interior makes you want to spend some time in it. And I'm going to go in detail to show you just how luxurious it is, or at least how much it attempts to be luxurious. You're probably seeing the massive seats I'm sitting on right now. Well, I can adjust them here from the side. I have over 20 different adjustments for this. I have massaging features as well, and they're very plush and comfortable. This entire feeling of plushness is apparent all over the cabin, even here on the headliner. I have this nice soft texture here on the top. It's like velour. It's really a very nice detail. As you can see, there's a lot of wood as well. You want wood in a Grand Wagoneer, so unfortunately it doesn't have it on the outside, but on the inside you have some nice wood veneers all over on the dashboard, center console, doors, steering wheel. It's well presented. Now, contrary to the Cadillac Escalade that has one gigantic 38-inch screen for a dashboard, the Grand Wagoneer goes down a more classic route. I have not two, but three screens that are split through the dashboard. So I have the main screen right here for my instrument cluster, the main infotainment screen right here, which has a slew of features that I'll get into in a few seconds, and a third screen here on the passenger side. Now that may appear like to be a bit of a gimmick, and it is. What it does is that it allows the passenger to have access to different kind of information like the navigation system or fiddle with the audio system, for instance. Speaking of audio system, this has a Macintosh audio system, and it sounds absolutely bitchin'. Now, I'd like to bring your attention to the center console because there's a lot going on here, and I have one compartment inside a larger compartment. So a tiny one here on the top to put my phone with 2 USB ports. By the way, I counted 13 USB ports in this vehicle. Like, just in the front, I have 6 USB ports, and they go all the way to the back. And then you have the larger center console here. It goes nice and deep. And it's also a cooler. I have a button right here to cool down at the interior. I'm not going to do that right now because it's minus 30 degrees Celsius. Now, I have a nice chrome knob here for the transmission and an array of buttons to just fiddle with a whole bunch of different types of features. Notably, the all-wheel drive system. I can fiddle between rock, sand, snow, auto, and sport. I can engage 4x4 low because, yes, this has a 2-speed transfer case. And I can also adjust the ride height because I have an air suspension. I can really fiddle with the height of the vehicle. When I put it into park, it automatically lowers and opens up some footrests to help people get in and out of it. Now, inside the infotainment system itself, it's mostly touch operated. It works relatively well, but there are some features I'm not a fan of. Here on the left, I have a touch control for the heated steering wheel and heated seats or cooling seats, and they're not easy to spot. Like they'll only appear once you touch, but once you remove your hand and they're not activated, you don't really know that these buttons are there. They're kind of hidden. I wish that Jeep would have offered actual physical buttons, because during wintertime when you're wearing gloves, you want to have physical buttons to turn on crucial elements like this heated steering wheel and heated seats. It's not the case here. The rest is really just a whole bunch of buttons to manipulate the screens. I mean, I can turn on or off the screens in the back. I have 3 more screens in the back. I can broadcast the same information on all of them. I can lock them to make sure kids don't fiddle with them, or I can make them independent so every passenger can have their own entertainment setup. I have what's called a fam cam, and that's actually quite brilliant. It's a camera that allows me to spy on my kids, and it's really a nice bird's eye view of what's happening back there. So if they're fighting against each other or they're throwing boogers at each other, I can look at them and yell at them over my shoulder. So out the rear, the Grand Wagoneer is not as spacious and opulent as I was expected. Actually, it's not as comfortable as in a Cadillac Escalade. For starters, you sit kind of up high. There's a bit of an upright position with these seats, and they feel rather tiny, especially for somebody of a larger stature like myself. There are some creature comforts that are enjoyable, though. Of course, you get the classic peasant blockers to protect yourself from the outside world. There's also a massive center console here, just like in the front, and it works in the same way. I have 2 sections, one on the top for my phone and, surprise, another USB port. I have another compartment here which is actually quite cavernous, and I can throw in a whole bunch of junk as well, so that's well thought out. And there's another screen here, of course, 2 screens here as well, so 3 screens in total. These independent screens allow me to stream a whole bunch of information. I can connect my phone to it. I can connect a console or a Blu-ray player, because I have more connections down here, including HDMI ports. Now, the center screen here allows me to fiddle with the climate control, so I can manually adjust the climate control settings for the back. I can also activate cooling and heated seats in the rear. I also have these functions back there as well, so that's actually quite impressive. You're gonna get heated seats on the 3rd row. Hey, look at that. I found a remote control with Netflix, Prime Video, and Disney Plus, so you can have these features in a Grand Wagoneer. The 2022 Jeep Grand Wagoneer checks off all the right boxes to be a properly massive luxury SUV. Only time will tell if Jeep has a success story in their hands, but it's off to a good start. Unfortunately, as cool as the Grand Wagoneer name is, there's sadly no legacy or no heritage here. I mean, I know the name Grand Wagoneer, and it harkens back to a vehicle that everybody remembers. But it's been over 30 years that Jeep hasn't built a vehicle like this one. I mean, it'll take a lot more than slapping the Grand Wagoneer name on a modified Ram 1500 to allow this vehicle to build its own new legacy. Personally, I would have a bit more drivetrain options like a hybrid powertrain or something electrified. Come on, Jeep, we're in 2022. We don't need a body-on-frame 7-seater SUV from Jeep powered by a 6.4-liter V8. It just screams, hey, give us all your money and we're gonna make a lot of profit on you so we can build electric cars in the future. It's just way too cynical. Sure, it's quick off the line and makes cool sounds. I kind of like it, honestly, but we need something cleaner. We need something smarter underneath the hood of this massive vehicle. And you know what? Why not slap a few pieces of wood on the side while you're at it?